why don't you start by not only introducing yourself, but what is your quest?
So, yeah, so I am a mentor for joy, for the power of joy, and still a mentor for value-based business coaching. So these are the two things. And my quest is, is really to live joy, to bring joy on earth, also related to business. So that's, business has so far always been all about being money. And right. I just realized I was all the times running into burnouts when I tried to reach 6 figures or 7 figures or you name it, whatever figures. And I was not happy, although I did this, what I was really passionate about. And for a long time, I didn't know what's wrong. Why do I run all the time into sort of burnouts until, the whole business collapsed. Right. And I had a 2-year break of everything laying down until internally I woke up to joy, to read the feminine way of doing business. And this is not, the main focus is not money. The main focus is to follow your passion, your what brings you joy, what makes you alive, and to bring you juiciness into the world.
I love it. One of the things that Karen and I talk a lot about is that a successful life would contain a successful business, as opposed to reaching for that successful business that just destroys or consumes the rest of your life, which is, I think, what you're talking about, the burnout piece. Tell me what a difference the rest of your life has been sort of around, with the business being inside your life instead of consuming it. What difference has that made?
I think you need to ask a bit more precise, do you want to start me from right at the beginning where I come from?
Right now, what is the biggest difference right now in your life that you've made this choice?
The biggest difference is that I feel joyful, that life gets much easier, and it's so relaxed as well. So, I spend every day 1 or 2 hours in nature. Business is just not, it's not the center of life anymore where I run behind everything, but I'm the center of my life. And, if we didn't need to earn money, maybe I would do something else completely, if I was free to that, but currently this is a condition. We have money and somehow we need to get arranged with this, and we have to accept it because it's here. We cannot deny it. But it's really important that it gets its own place, not the whole day, not 24/7, but just, to do these pieces that are important and that feel joyful, and have the rest of my life have a life, a real life.
I love it. I love it. We were so on the same page. I'm just let's now go back in time. Right? Now that we know what the actual destination is, let's go back and pick away at that a little bit. So tell me about when you first decided to be an entrepreneur. How long ago was that?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because 12 years ago, I decided to become self-employed. And is being self-employed an entrepreneur or not? That's another question. But for 4 years, I was trying to make money. I was very creative, I was very good at photographing. So I did an exhibition there. I was running a meditation house, a retreat house. So I had guests coming, but I really didn't make sufficient money for me to make a living.
Right.
So, and then I had the choice, my money was running out, and I had a choice: either I get a job or I really get a breakthrough in my business. And then I chose to take a course for social entrepreneurs, for social and conscious entrepreneurs. And with this, I really had to break through, and it became also clear I want to work as a coach. And for me, really, after 3 or 4 months, I had a regular income I could live from. And then I realized how important it is that you can make money from what you live. And I would say from this moment, I was an entrepreneur. Kind of like, yeah, from the moment that I really made money with, with what I wanted to live, I would call myself entrepreneur. And also knowing in German, entrepreneur means somebody who is in action, you know, who loves doing something. So so we have yeah, of course, it also mean making money, but it's all, you know, yeah. And as an entrepreneur, you're in action, you have to take action somehow so that it also makes money, the whole thing. Yeah.
Right. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love that you have that distinction between working for yourself and actually being an entrepreneur. Now, when you look back at yourself, what was the biggest misunderstanding that you get now? Right? Like what were the things that led to the burnout? What were the things that you believed, you know, wholeheartedly that allowed you to continue to put energy out in that way?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest beliefs or conditioning is that I have to be somebody. So kind of like, you know, I used to be a biologist. So I got my PhD in the hope when I have my PhD, then I'm somebody, my life would change. So, and after, yeah, it's another story with science, but then I came into spiritual life. Yeah, and I became an entrepreneur. And then I had the impression I need to be somebody. Well, I need to have a big business in order to show that I'm a good business coach. So I was running behind numbers. And this is also, you know, some years ago, this is what all business coaches taught. So when you have a 6-figure business, then you're happy. When you have a 7-figure business, then life gets easy. But until you're there, you're kind of like dying. And I never could reach it, although I invested so much money into it. And I also have to say, yeah, and this is another big mistake I did. I was unconsciously cheating my own heart, my own being, you know, in order to achieve something. And I would say, yeah, today I just don't do it anymore. You know, you can have a happy business and you don't have to be doing things that you don't love, that is not in alignment with your heart, that is not in alignment with who you are. And yeah, if you don't have to be somebody, if you don't have to prove that you're worth something, you can run business in such a different way. And this is, I think, really a really big learning for me. And of course, another big, there are so many big learnings, you know, in the end, I knew it theoretically that money comes from source, and I just take action in order that money can come in. But if we really go further and further and further with this, we can create money directly from source.
Yes.
I wonder whether in 5 or 10 years, I would still be doing a business, you know, when I have achieved such a high level of consciousness that I can directly make money. You know, it's a completely different concept. But I think then, yeah, then I'm out of business again. So, you know, it's completely not important what I do. I just enjoy myself. And if currently it means business, then I enjoy this.
Then you enjoy that. One of the things that you said, I want to go back to the last lesson because it's a really important differentiator. So part of being in business is sales, right? And when we do work the way you and I do, we're selling ourselves. We're selling our knowledge, our wisdom, that we're going to be there for someone. And if you have set the definition of success in a place where you always feel like you're not enough, how do you get aligned enough to even do sales? Like if you've already decided that you're not successful, I think this is where people start stepping back. I think this is where businesses start to atrophy, right? We
Mhm.
let other people tell us what success is in the business, whether it's 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever it is. And every day we're aware of the gap, right? And we start tracking that instead of how have I grown today? Right? How am I more aligned today? How can my conversations and connections with people be deeper and more meaningful and more centered on finding out whether or not they're a match with me, whether or not we should partner and go ahead together to get their dreams and goals, whatever it is that they want to achieve. It's like it takes us apart. It takes us out of alignment. And to your point around, basically just manifesting money, I think the only thing that stands in our way is our belief that it can happen. So wherever we are today is exactly where we're supposed to be to continue to grow in belief in ourselves and our ability to work towards what we want.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people that are feeling stuck in the shoulds, feeling stuck in how other people measure success?
I would say go get help and work with your conditionings. Yeah, it's so classical. That's the conditionings, and we have to remove or we have to transform all these conditionings so that we take our power back to us and not to give it to other people's opinion of what they think is success. I can tell my biggest success, when I look at life, I say my biggest success is to be joyful. I come back to this is a big success, and people would think, why is this success? But when I look back from where I come, from a deeply suppressed family background, where there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of powerlessness, no feeling of right, no feeling of valuelessness, and to come to a completely different point where life, I would say, just gets easy and fun and joyful. This is a huge success, especially in the times that we are living right now, where so much fear is being triggered. And if then you can stay independent, you're aligned to yourself, you're sovereign, you are a sovereign being making your own decisions, running from your heart and not from what other people tells you to do. I would say this is huge success, and it has been underestimated for a good reason, and or it has been suppressed for a good reason, because this is where our true power lies in. When we are sovereign beings, this is where our power lives. And of course this was all suppressed. And if you come from such a background, and that's why I chose such a family, that I could experience all the pain that is around, being so much suppressed. I think I wouldn't have, if I had come into my life where I am right now, I would say, why do these people suffer? Life is so easy. But when I go through myself, I know exactly what it means, and I know exactly how long it takes to free yourself from all those conditionings. So all the shoulds, now coming back to your questions, these are all the conditionings. You should be doing this, you should be doing, and you're being hurt in this. It's not, you're not whole yet in this aspect. If you are led by I should be doing this, you're not whole there, and then it needs healing and transformation. So that's what I would do. And of course it's I wanted just to say, it's very sexy to combine it with business, when you remove all the shoulds plus you run a successful business. I think this is it's a next level, it's a new level of business. It's business out of freedom, out of joy. And of course, it's not for, I have to be honest, it's not for everyone. Everybody has to go through its own path, and you start somewhere. And yeah, you have to be already at a quite conscious level that you can run a business from joy. It's not the simple thing, because you have to learn how to run a business, and this is already a lot, plus all the personal development so that you can release the fears and be really yourself. So it takes time. It's not something I would say you can do this within a weekend or within 2 months. It's something that takes time, and it depends where you are. Of course, if you're already very, very joyful, then you just need the business knowledge and the whole thing goes, you know. But if, yeah, and if you have already a successful business, then you only need to work maybe on your joy part, so that you're more success, that you can play more around and just have a joyful life. Yeah.
I love it. Because, yeah, I mean, how people show up in business is very different for everybody. Like, why did you become an entrepreneur? And so many of the folks that I ran into, becoming an entrepreneur was part of their personal journey, right? It was about them no longer fitting into someone else's rules and being told what to do and wanting to step into leadership. For me, I knew I was hiding in the government, right? I was in a manager position, but I was hiding behind other leaders. And knew that I would continue to do that if I wasn't forced to go out. So for me, entrepreneur was my leadership journey, my personal leadership journey, which is why I study leadership and I research it and I pay close attention to where people are at. And the shoulds have been a big thing. It's one of the reasons I asked the question, because I've trained myself that every time I hear myself say should, go, says who? Like, where did that come from? Right? Is it a valid thing? Like, I really should get up and be prepared for this interview today. Well, yeah, that's my own should. That's my own set of values. Absolutely, I can do that. That's easy, right? And how come, I still listen sometimes to the shoulds of others? Now, we met in a program where we had both decided that we didn't know what we were doing in business, so we're going to pay somebody else a lot of money to tell us what to do. Right. And we did. I mean, for myself, I did learn a lot. Probably one of the biggest things I learned was that just because you pay a lot of money for a program doesn't mean that that's the program you need, or that's what you're actually needing in that moment. Like, it was a really big opportunity for me to see, oh, right. You know what? I actually know most, if not all of this. So, what's happening inside of me that I don't feel confident enough to step up and just own it. And sometimes you pay a lot of money to get that.
Yep.
So tell me, when you work with people, how do you, what's the best way to word this question? Sometimes, and not necessarily in the program where we met, but I've seen it in other programs, where when people don't have their own business coming from joy, they want to create codependence. They want to keep clients as long as possible. So they want to always keep a little bit back. So I know that you and I both coming from this place where we want to be pleased with ourselves and in alignment and feeling good. How do you make sure that that doesn't happen? How do you guard against that as a coach, as a leader with your own people?
So that they are not getting codependent with me. Right. That's really a good question. It really goes very deep. And I actually wonder, whether I'm completely free. I tell honestly, I just wonder. And well, there's one good thing. I'm having a client and he wanted to continue. And he was already ready for another year to continue with me. And before we were speaking, I knew that he was interested to continue. I went for a walk and listened to my gut feeling, to my belly, what is right in this situation. And then I felt I would only go for half a year and then see what is going to happen. He can always, or we can always decide to continue for another half a year. And I think with this, I already, you know, the answer to what you're asking me is listen to my gut feeling, what feels right, and trust it. And I think this is where I was just a little bit thinking about, what if I feel 1 year is right for somebody? So I think that 1 year is right, and it makes business much easier if we have if we decide to work together for 1 year, if this feels right. But I would no more sell somebody a 1 year long thing when my gut feeling is a half year thing. And it needs, and there's another point, and this is really all about transformation. They need time, you know, and I have experienced already every client, well, or almost every client has a crisis in between, you know, is in front of a big breakthrough and they want to give up and throw everything. And so it's safe for the client, and it's safe for me that we can continue working. And this I have experienced already so many times. It's just one single belief that we have to solve.
Yep.
And things are starting for them beautifully. So I'm also still a big fan of deciding, hey, let's work together for half a year or for 1 year.
Yep.
But I think the solution is that we both listen to us, go deep inside, listen from the belly, from the heart, or listen to our intuition. What's the right amount of time that we are supposed to be working with, and stick. And yet I would really say, if it feels right, it will be the right thing. So, and then we also stick with it. And then usually it's also no problem, you know. Yeah, I never faced any problem in such a case so far. But it's also something new. It's not that the head decides, oh, I want to be safe, I want to make money, and this creates the codependence. The codependence is always created when there is fear.
Yes.
And when we are free of fear, then things are going fine. And so far I haven't yet had the experience that, you know, on a reciprocal really feeling to us, that somebody said, I want to stop, you know, although we said 1 year. And this would be something I have no clue. Of course, I always had clients in former times where I had from time to time such a situation. And then I was really acting from my mind, you know, classically. And at least in one case, it did not come out well. So, and this was also an important experience, you know, which helped me to go really into my heart and listen much deeper into my heart, and not to act from like a business coach and we had our contracts and whatsoever. But it's really a very thin line there, because our mind can turn around things, and yeah, we really have to see that. There was just something else coming into mind. Yeah, we really have to see that it just feels good, you know, and whenever it feels good. And what I wanted to say, if you want to have a really big business, you really need to get a lot of clients. And so this is a own business kind of like, and of course the danger that you take people who are maybe not the best fit is much higher than if you say, okay, I work with 5-6 clients at a time, and I really choose those who are a true fit. And this is also something you have to feel, is this a true fit or not? Because with people who are a true fit, I never had any problem. It was always fun to work with.
Yes.
I think when I was at the other end, where I could, if I had been really honest with myself, I could have said, probably I could have felt that some people were not a fit, and I still took them. And I think this, I don't want to do anymore, because it's painful for them. And in the end, it's painful for me. It's not funny to take money from people who are not a fit. It's just no fun. And so I think, to answer your question, it's really, yeah, take people who are fit, and then the things are running fine. You know, you don't have a problem. There is also no codependence there. So
yeah, I agree. Like you're essentially talking about attachment, right? Like you have the ability to be detached. That Instead, what I hear from you, your attachment is to holding space for your clients. You know that during this transformation, especially when you get the block out and they're starting to move, as they go through change, they do need to come to a critical choice point. And depending on the person and how many times they've done that journey will depend entirely on how stuck they get in it or how big the crisis needs to be in order for them to surrender and move through. And it can be a blessing to have someone that understands that journey, letting them know that it's coming. So they go, oh, look, I'm here.
Yeah.
And be there for the whole thing. I think that works really, really well. I like that. And you're right. When you've got, we find a lot of our clients are looking to leverage, that they have done that, right? They've said, I'm just going to serve these clients. I'm going to feel super aligned about it. I'm going to love what I do. I'm going to get to know the clients that I love and that love me. And then when that's going well and they want to do more, then it's about leverage. It's not about taking on so many clients that now I'm out of balance, but it's like, how can I leverage myself? How can maybe I'll start a small group. Maybe I'll run an event. Maybe I'll start doing some e-learning, whatever it happens to be. But they still have figured out who their clients are, right? They figured out who they're best aligned with, who they have the most fun serving.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, life just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah. And it's really important, this is what we all learned during our business coaching, that you have your ideal client, and really to be courageous enough to stick to the ideal client. This really takes courage. And time is changing. So the earth is changing. We are having much more energy. We can't lie anymore that easily, or I anyhow can't. It's really being asked that we follow our own hearts and be true to ourselves. And with clients that I'm working with, their body can feel what is true and what is not true. And I just realize, if you don't listen to what your body is telling, you're running into difficulties. And this is a new level, which I didn't have personally, 3 or 10 years ago. And I think also our consciousness worldwide was not that highly advanced. We are going through a fast elevation of consciousness that really makes us stick to our truth, to who we are. So I think, all the businesses that are no more honest, that are lying, they will all crush. So I think, in order to survive, in former times, 20 years ago, kind of like we had to have the mask, you kind of like, and play business owner or whatsoever in order to be successful. But this is now all changing in our times. So now what I feel, or at least these people who work with me, what they also feel, they want to be true and honest to themselves and running with this a business, and not with the old lies that we all have learned, or we thought that's the way to success. I see it now, really the way to success is to be yourself and not to lie. That's the way to success, because people get more and more sensitive as well, so they can feel and see through you if you're not honest.
Yep.
Sorry, that's not the business that will survive anymore. And this is a huge learning. So this is really a whole paradigm shift from 20 years ago to now, and in 10, 12, 20 years, we all will have honest businesses, if we have businesses at all. I have no clue kind of like what's going to happen.
So you are the pure gift for people that have either done it the other way and can't figure out, they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but they're not sure what to throw out and what to, right? Yeah. And also people, if they're brand new to business and they're insisting that this is the only way they're willing to do business.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, I love that we're part of an international community, because you're in Switzerland and I'm in Canada. and just love bridging that gap. What's some parting words for entrepreneurs around the world about this change that's coming? How do they start to engage with it?
By just being truly themselves, who they are, just and loving themselves. You know, this sounds so kind of like natural. Oh, okay, loving yourself, that's so easy, but it's not. It's really not. To love yourself unconditionally, accept exactly where you are right now.
Nicely said. Thank you so much. This has been lovely chatting again. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with our people. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Karen, for doing all your beautiful work. Thank you.